This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. A lot of us going through a lot of challenges now, or you know somebody who is. A lot of this is since COVID, more anxiety, more depression has kicked up. Even though we have social media, it's wonderful, but at the same time, there's some challenges there where you think you're connected, but we're really not connected, even though on a screen we are. And there goes a lot of the challenges that many of us are dealing with today. She knows it all well. She works with a lot of people, helping them navigate through life, individuals, families, as a therapist and a counselor. And she joins us today. She is Janice Van Anrooy on the program. How are you?
I'm well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Am I getting that right? What you're hearing from people in terms of challenges right now?
Yes. Yeah. So I work, with an outpatient setting for probably 38 years now, and I work primarily with teenagers, but also with adults. But what we're seeing is a mental health crisis. Lots of us therapists are booked. We, people can't get in. There's a real problem with disconnection and people being able to relate to one another one-on-one, instead of relying on social media and texting. And it's that personal touch, it's that one-on-one connection that we've seen decrease since the 1950s, when we didn't have social media, we didn't have cell phones. And that we're seeing, as one of this author, this environmental writer wrote, we're seeing an expansion of homes and floor space and a decrease in connection. And I see that with my teenagers. They go to their bedrooms, some of them will eat in their bedrooms. So, and I also specialize in the treatment of eating disorders and disordered eating. And the family meal, believe it or not, has been decreasing since the 50s, which is where we all come together at the end of the day for connection. So part of the treatment plan is trying to get families to reinstate the family meal. And it's like pulling teeth. It's like it just is not a concept in our community.
And spot on. And this was 2 years ago, and I believe it still holds true. The CDC said the segment of the population that has considered taking their lives are teenage girls. That's the highest segment. Like about 50% of them have had those thoughts. And I believe what you're saying is right on there with social media. Just so much going on there.
Well, and families are overextended, trying to work within, the financial structure of our country. When you look at Norway, Finland, they're one of the happiest countries in the world because they have a family-based system. They come together a lot more. They have more vacation time, 6 weeks minimum. Where in our society, everyone is just in a rat race. And so the teenagers are they're falling between the cracks. And so part of my passion is trying to help families come back together. And so I do a lot of family counseling as well as individual counseling to try to find, a balance between trying to be too erratic and too many activities and too much pressure on the kids, and kind of soften it a little. And the parents appreciate it too. They go, oh, I don't have to be so hyper, vigilant. No, nope.
Do you feel that, and I saw this before COVID, where many parents would put their children in different activities. Got to go to, soccer, then we go to cheerleading, then we have this, and then we got this, then we have this, then COVID hit, and then things kind of changed up a little bit. I don't know if it's the same way now, but it's almost as if many parents did that out of guilt. I feel guilty, I didn't have that, so my kid's going to have it, or
Yeah.
I'm not available, to spend enough time with my kids. So I want them to do activities and be engaged in all of that. On the surface, seems like a pretty good idea, but maybe not so much when you talk about these schedules.
Right. I have three grown children now, and one of the things that I kind of laugh about, but it's pretty true. When I raised them, they could choose one sport. And I said, this is crazy, but I said, and now they're in their late 20s and 30s. I said, please don't strive for straight A's. I'd rather have you be a well-rounded human than have a straight A and go for the top. I tried to help them manage right in here, choose one sport, do the best you can, but to strive for straight A's. And they go, Mom, what?
Mm.
I just felt like I could see society, that was, 25 or so years ago, going into this hyper vigilant state.
Do you think that's where we are now?
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Oh, I think we need to all just slow down, create a better, healthy lifestyle, and manage our families and have that family meal. And my three adult kids now, they really believe in the family meal, which I'm really grateful for. So all three of them cook at home. They rarely go out to dinner. They're I have four grandkids. They really try to get that family meal intact. I just think it's beautiful. I'm so proud of them for that.
Wow. I don't hear that going on a lot
Mm-mm.
in,
No.
people I'm connected to. And yes, exactly what you said. Teenagers in their room, everything takes place there.
And fast food. Let's just pick up food and then you guys can all eat in your own rooms or
Yeah.
in front of the
Yeah.
TV. I asked one family, I said, well, what about just coming to the dining room table? And they said, what dining room table? I said, what? Or another family would say, oh, well, we have all of our stuff on the table. I don't know how we would have a dinner there. I said, clear it off, create a family meal. And they go, yeah, but I don't get home till 5. I said, okay, that's okay, And then because since I treat eating disorders and I have a dietitian that works with, she's a nutritionist, Lilia Davis. So we work as a team, and she creates a meal plan, and then I help with the psychological aspect and the family dynamics to
Sure.
help bring those two together and shop on Sunday for the week or the day off, your day off, shop for the week with your food in 3 food groups: protein, carbohydrate, and fruit and veggie. Make it simple. It's the rule of 3. 3 food groups, 3 meals a day, and dabble in some snacks. And it's like it's called the grandparents diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Where did
It's
this go wrong, though? Because back in the day, this was the norm.
it was
You know,
the
it, 5 days a week at least, there would be the
yeah,
table. Everybody get together.
that's right.
No matter what, that was what we did. Is it social media that did this? Where and I'm all about getting to the root cause. A lot of times, we have a situation, go to the doctor, get a script, takes care of the symptoms. So I'm bringing this up. I don't want to belabor it, but where did this happen? How did this happen? How did we derail from that togetherness?
I don't know. I mean, we grew up. I grew up with four. There's four of us, 4 girls, and we were booted outside to play, and we didn't worry about sex trafficking or these girls being hurt. We were sent out all day, and we built forts, and then we had horses, and my parents were just, and then my mom would ring the bell for dinner to come in. We didn't have cell phones and we didn't have electronics. We had to go be creative. We had to go outside and build forts and play board games outside on the picnic table. and
Hmm.
and so and we had animals, and there was a much richer culture of connection. And I do think the advancement has really put us behind. And you don't see that as much. My husband's daughter lives in Norway, and she's raised her child in Norway, and they say there's no bad weather, just bad clothing. I mean, those little kids get outside all the time, and they have a rich family connection. We don't have that here. We're the rugged individualists, everyone on their own, you know, God forbid if we all come together at the end of the day. But that's what my teenagers are telling me that they need. They need they call it, I need my mom and dad. But yet, mom and dad, where are you?
Yeah. Well, mom and dad are conditioned, and I think we're also conditioned from our kids because they see others. Pick any teenage girl's room, 14, 12, whatever, tween. They all look the same. I have one.
Ah,
So she just turned 17, but this is the makeup of the room. LED lights around the ceiling,
uh-huh.
dark, most time spent in bed, multiple devices. This is like if you look at any, and I hear it from all my friends, and it's been, those LED lights have been a thing for at least 5 years where they all have them in their rooms. They're very cheap, like $20.
Right,
But I'm just, I'm bringing that up because everybody's doing the same thing.
right.
Like every teenage girl's room, I want to say mostly has that look to it. And they're just, like you said, on their device doing their thing because their friends are doing it. So then us as parents, it's almost as if we're conditioned by our kids. Well, that's what they want to do. They're happy. So let them up there and, I'll leave the food at the door.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm hearing though and I had this one patient last week, she said, "You know what? I got rid of a lot of my friends who are focused on their cell phone and the social media, and I'm going over here and I want to be with girls who want to connect with me." She's
Hmm.
14. I said,
Wow.
"Wow, I'm so proud of you." And then I told another teenager, because you can't in HIPAA regular, you can't tell names or anything. I said, I had a patient last week, and she said this. She goes, "Wow, can I meet her?" So they're hungry. They just don't
Yes.
know how to do it. They're hungry for connection. They just don't know how to do it.
Even how to verbalize it. Something's missing. I'm just doing my thing here, and but
Yeah,
that's what you only know what you know. So, and
yeah,
teenagers, kids, they're
yeah.
impressionable, so they only know what they know.
I know, I
Mm,
know. And
sad.
I was a wilderness guide back in my 20s, and I took teenagers out backpacking and canoeing. And so for 2 weeks at a time, there was no TV back then, black and white, and it just turned color. So they were out in the wilderness, and they would gather around the fireplace, the fire pit at night, and they just would just connect, and it was so rich. It was just so rich of connection. And I remember as a 20-year-old really valuing that time, and then having them re-enter into the world was really stressful for them.
Wow. Uh,
Yeah.
you offer so much in terms of helping people, adults, teens, children, depression, anxiety, mood disorders, uh, certainly PTSD, which a lot of us deal with and don't even know we're dealing with it. You say those four letters, and many think of our military, but there's
Yeah.
PTSD in many other areas. Let's go to eating disorders, and you also call it disordered eating. Never heard
Right.
that term. What does that mean?
Oh, okay. When, so I believe that in the stressful society, our appetite ticker is broken. The whole push for intuitive eating 20 years ago, I never jumped on board with that because I believe in our society, the appetite ticker for everyone who's stressed is broken. They can't regulate a consistent blood sugar level, and they hear all these diets, and intermittent fasting, and all this different um, media pressure for both men and women to diet.
Sure.
Well, diets don't work. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry because they fail. So people get on diets and then they lose weight or whatever, and then the set point keeps going up and up and up because they go back to their regular stressful life. When you have disordered eating, it means that you're not regulating your blood sugars with consistent meals. So the first half hour when you wake up, you need your protein and carb and a fruit or a veggie. So the rule of three helps stabilize. Well, most people that come through my door are dysregulated with food. And then some of those dysregulated people move into an eating disorder. And so then they either become binge eating or anorexia or bulimia. So you have a whole spectrum.
It's
And a
a,
lot, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say it's a almost a, I don't want to use the cliche, but it's true, vicious cycle where you have some
yeah,
um, mood disorders, anxiety. Well, it's life. We get it. But then
yeah,
that dictates your eating. But then if you
right.
don't eat properly,
That's
that
right.
feeds into the anxiety, and now
Yep,
you're a mess. It's like I don't know what I can't even think today. I don't know what's going on. Well, that's because you didn't have any protein this morning. You
that's
you know
right.
had a muffin, which is all carbs, and your blood sugar
Oh,
plummeted at some point.
exactly. So your blood sugars are doing this, which then your mood does this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when patients come in and we talk about that, they went, "Well, that's pretty simple." I go, "Yes, it is." And I had anorexia in my 20s. That's how I got into this. And then
Wow.
14 years, and it dysregulated me so bad. I mean, it was brutal. And I became infertile, but then I reversed it by reading and by doing my own work. And now, it's been almost 40 years that I've recovered. So that's why I do what I do.
I
Because I
appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I was going to ask your backstory. Had no idea it was eating connected. Um, how interesting that was the catalyst to
uh-huh.
becoming a licensed therapist and everything else.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
I was graduated from Michigan State. I was supposed to be a biology teacher. Um, I just that just didn't fit me, and so but yeah, I had a pretty severe eating disorder. It,
Wow.
it
Um,
nearly killed me.
it's all of this, many of us don't even realize, for example, how when we're tired, it triggers a chemical and makes us want to eat. And then here we back on that treadmill, the cycle again, where now you
Yeah,
eat late, just tired. I don't know what it is. I gotta eat something. But then now you gain weight and stress with cortisol levels and all of that. There's so much going on that the average person doesn't even realize.
exactly. Yeah, and I come from an integrative medicine model for mental health. Um, I come from a background of physicians. I'm one of the few that's not. My grandparents were doctors. My sisters are doctors. My uncle. So we come from a medical model, and um, I don't know where I was going with that, but the whole medical aspect of this cycle,
Sure.
if we can just listen to our not listen to our body, but know that the biomarkers within us are causing the dysregulation that then lead to the mental illness, that then leads to the stress. So it's like it's
Yeah.
just this nightmare. So I try to help calm all that down. Let's get your labs. Let's find out what's going on organically. And then Lilia does the meal plan, and then I do the therapy. And it's beautiful. I just love it. I love it.
I love your approach. Like nobody ever talks about this stuff, especially diet connected to mood and all of that. And it may be starting with your diet that's feeding into the anxiety and everything else that's going on. But
Yeah,
again, it's just when they say you got to live a balanced life,
right.
the more the older I get, the more I see that, how that's
Oh,
so true. Was yes, if things are missing, poor sleep, poor food intake. I don't want to use that word diet. Um,
good. Thank you.
stress and all of that. exercise. It's like the wheels on a car. If one is missing or not right, it's going to wobble. The car is not going to pilot the right way. But when you get all of those pieces in order,
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah. I tell my patients, you guys are Mercedes. Would you be fueling yourself with Crisco? Crisco oil into your Mercedes car? No, honey.
Mm.
No. Let's back it up. Really, and I use the word fuel. It gets away from food because when you talk to someone with eating disorder or disordered eating and use the word food, it triggers
Yeah.
anxiety. So if I use the word fuel, let's talk about fueling yourself. Oh, and then it relieves a lot of the anxiety. I I think it's just fascinating to
And that's
see.
what food does. That's why we eat. You
So
know, yes, we eat for pleasure sometimes, have dessert or whatever it might be, but for the most part, it's we're eating for a reason. And if you scaled it down to those cravings and got rid of them, which are probably there for a reason, you would just eat the basics that you need to fuel your body like they did way back in the day. I'm talking hundreds of years ago, and there
yes,
there was much less disease and many other challenges.
that's correct.
Mm.
Yep, lot less disease. My grandmother she was a ear, nose, and throat surgeon back in the early 1900s, and she believed that food was medicine, and she taught us that. But then I just went off, you know, the I so what happened is I took what was I thought healthy and took it into an extreme, which is what a lot of patients do as well. They feel like they're doing things the right way, but they go off the cliff and they're too restrictive. So then it leads them into this cycle of an eating disorder.
How does
And
somebody start with you? If this is resonating, we talked about a lot today in a very short period of time, right down to, teenagers,
yeah,
disconnect, diet. I say I use that word again. Stop me.
yeah,
And all of that.
we just call it meal planning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like financial planning, when you financially plan your life with money, you
Yep.
have to do that with food too. It's not a random act.
It's funny you should say that, Janice, because for about 3 weeks now, I've been saying I need to meal plan. My older daughter is a nurse, and that's what she does every Sunday. And she sent me her plan. I'm like, yeah, I'd eat that. I'm good with that. I haven't gotten into it. I need to be intentional and take the time and then get onto a routine because I know it's going to be for the best and plus save money too. Um,
Oh,
how do we
that's
connect with you? How do we find you?
so my phone number 719-229-7285. And then my email is my last name, Van Anrooy 03 at msn.com. And then I have a website. It's www.thedanceofrecovery.com.
Hmm. Why the word dance?
Because I like to have um passion and energy with my patients, and I came up with that years ago. It's like a dance. It's not hardcore and rigid. It's like a dance. And that's how I kind of work with patients. And I
Well,
also I tell a lot about my story too, and what works for me.
I
And they
love that. And a dance is fluid. That's the way life it's you got and again it's balance and movement and all of that. You can do sessions virtually, right?
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. Last question. Even if it's a virtual session, does Greta join in with the session?
So I have two now. I have
Oh,
Greta and I have Coda. Coda is a year, and they're not with me here today. But yeah, I have therapy dogs, and the teenagers will get on the floor here with them. And actually, I have one adult that does the same thing. And they're Portuguese water dogs, which are known for affection. So they literally will lay on some of my patients' lap on the.
wow. Wow.
It's it's really cool.
How funny. One of my friends has a service dog and its name is Coda.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know what coda means, but there's probably a meaning there. Wow.
Yeah.
Janice, wonderful talking with you today. Appreciate your transparency and all your insight, especially your journey. Speaks volumes. Anybody can say, "Yeah, I got certified. I'm helping with eating
Oh,
disorders." No, you lived it,
I
and
lived it.
and you understand it and everything else. And appreciate
Yeah.
you being here, and looking forward if we get a chance to get together again.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's great.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.